A queen is never late. Everyone else is simply early.
She's right, you know, everybody is simply early. You guys, I am so happy to finally be uploading this video, which will be, of course, going up in February. My 2022 best books, the best books of 2022. I said that a little backwards. My name is Tanya. I am so happy that you're here. We're just gonna get right into it. I wanted to just preface it by saying I'm so happy to see other booktubers still uploading this quite late. I saw that Sarah from Sarah's Perusal actually recently uploaded hers, which made me feel more confident, which is where I got my little Queen Clarice joke from, so that's why I inserted it into this video.
You don't know.
And even A Clockwork Reader and a few others have been posting the 2022 best books videos a little bit later, so I feel like I'm still in the game, you know?
You go ahead, girlfriend, do your thing.
But yes, I had a pretty magnanimous year of reading, the first time in a very long time that I consistently read, and that was the whole purpose of this channel, was to keep me accountable and to make sure that I hit certain benchmarks and goals as far as reading. So let's get right into it. Unfortunately, because I just came back from a road trip and my apartment is a little bit messy, because when you're doing a road trip, y'all, you're packing every single thing in sight, and I have no idea where some of my books are. Even though every single book in this best books of 2022, I actually have a physical copy minus like 2 of them, or 3 of them actually. Yeah, and I really wanted to like hold it up because it's always great to have like a little prop in your hand when you're talking about books, but I couldn't find mine. And I searched high and low, but I only found like 3 books. So let's start first with the honorable mentions. So we will start with Murder on the Orient Express. I did a whole video on that, trying to solve that mystery. I thought that Agatha Christie did such a fantastic job as far as being very descriptive. The book is packed punch with a million characters and a lot of different details. It truly is the murder mystery that you can start at. I'm so happy to have actually read Murder on the Orient Express first, because it really just kind of gave me the roadmap as to how Agatha approaches her mysteries. There are always a lot of eccentric and colorful characters from all over the globe, which I really love and appreciate. I just remember enjoying the story for what it was. I was terribly disappointed at the outcome, and if you guys want to know exactly what happened, go ahead and check out the video, because I do get to the very end when they let us know who exactly is the killer. So the next book that I have on my list is The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. So this is basically a super quick short story of the 19th century, and it deals with women and how they are basically trapped in the patriarchy. We follow this woman who goes off to this English cottage for respite, and she basically starts seeing things in this yellow wallpaper. This woman who is trapped by society and by the patriarchy of the time, which is perfectly reasonable because it is 19th century, where a lot of women did not have rights. So Perkins Gilman did such a great job at putting a lot of depth inside of a very short, iconic story that we have today. One day maybe I will have a suite in my home that is covered with yellow wallpaper. We never know. Next book. One of the very first books I ended up reading for my booktube channel in early January or late December of 2021 was Politically Correct Bedtime Stories, Modern Tales for Our Life and Times by James Finn Garner. And I do have this one in my possession, in my hands, because I was able to easily find it because I put it right back where it belonged. But yeah, this basically just is a satire parody. It's very comical and humorous. It explores different children's literature and different children's fairy tales, from Rumpelstiltskin to, I always want to call this little girl Snow White, Little Red Riding Hood. It talks about the 3 little pigs, the Emperor's New Clothes, which I love that story. Like, okay, you got invisible clothes or what? But yeah, it just kind of shows how there's this trend to political correctness, which of course is in our society today. It's a very lighthearted, fun, quick little book that you can get done in a matter of hours. And I really love it, and take it lightly or seriously if you like, but I really loved this one for 2022. Another one of my very beloved stories and books of 2022, I finally got a chance to read Roots, which is an American saga by Alex Haley. It just basically follows this 18th century young man, Kunta Kinte, who is captured and is part of the African slave trade. He goes over to America, and we follow his life story and the generations that come after it. It was such a palpable and powerful story. I love the way that Alex Haley wrote everything, and I felt like I really was there looking at history through these pages of the book. I really liked it. There are a few problems with it, which is why it's an honorable mention, but overall I would definitely recommend any and everyone to read that book. And the final honorable mention is SOS Titanic by Eve Bunting. This is another book that gives me very fond memories because it's one of the very first books that I ended up reading for my channel during the very blizzardy dead of winter here in New York. I thought it was just a perfect environment to read such such a thing because I always mention that I love the idea of nautical works during very freezing days and freezing times, because it just feels like, again, most of the planet, not most of the planet, but a very large portion of the planet has very icy cold water. So SOS Titanic just follows this little Irish teenager who, you know, embarks on the voyage from, I believe it was Scotland or Ireland. I know, he's an Irish boy, but I can't even remember what island. I think he was leaving from Ireland. I forget. I wish I had the book with me right now. But anyway, yeah, he's leaving his home near the United Kingdom, because, you know, Ireland is not part of the UK, and he's going on the maiden voyage of the Royal Mail ship Titanic. Of course, it's a doomed voyage. It's just so, it's very thrilling, and you know exactly what's going to happen, so you can't really put the book down. It's a children's book, I believe, as well, which is a great way to just kind of like kickstart your engines if you haven't read in a very long time, which I hadn't. And I'm very happy to say that I got that book down and I gave it a relatively good rating, and it was one of my enjoyable works of the year after a disaster of some of the worst books of 2022. But yeah, SOS Titanic, just pick it up. It's very, very good. And it is very close to the 1997 film with Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet and the like. Okay, now to our main books. I will start with the Autobiography of Malcolm X by, again, Alex Haley. Such an important and good book. I will have to say that I have a video on it and I'll link it, of course, in the cards as well. But I can say that I had a love-hate relationship with the book because it started out with a very extremist point of view. It was so intense that I thought I was going to close the book and not finish it, but I really wanted to power through. I listened to it via audiobook and read it as well, because I have the physical book here, another one that I was able to find. So yeah, and I don't particularly love these kind of like physical books because look at the text, you guys. Isn't that murder? That's murder, right? Yeah.
Whoa. What is this language? Is this Chinese?
Ooh, this murder. That's hard. So I was happy to have the audiobook to listen and read along. It's done by Joe Morton, who has just the silkiest, powerful, animated, fun, meaningful voice. He just has such a great voice for audiobooks. Oh my god. Like, can I give you a hug?
Can you quit touching me?
No.
For making such an amazing experience. It felt like he was all the characters. So well done. Anyway, as I was saying, Malcolm X started out as a very interesting book for me. It felt very hateful. It didn't come from a place of love, because at the very beginning of Malcolm's story, he was introduced into the Nation of Islam.
No, not the nation, just Islam.
Islam? Okay, I could just say that.
The viewpoints of some of the people in that particular religion can be very off-putting. Like, for example, if you have like anti-white and black separatists, like kind of black supremacy vibes, a little bit racist vibes, you're trying to, you know, annihilate a certain race. That's the vibes that I was getting. So yeah, it was just very like, oh, disturbing, the words that were coming out of this book. And then it slowly crept into something really beautiful and peaceful and powerful. I want to read just a little bit of what Goodreads says as far as the summary, because I really enjoyed the book at the end. Goodreads says, through a life of passion and struggle, Malcolm X became one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. In this riveting account, he tells of his journey from a prison cell to Mecca, describing his transition from hoodlum to Muslim minister. Here, the man who called himself the angriest black man in America. That's a great way to say it. The book was very angry at the start, and then it just flourished and bloomed into something that was completely different, which I really loved. Yeah, so it relates how his conversion to true Islam helped him confront his rage and recognize the brotherhood of all mankind. So like, yeah, this is one of those books that one should read in their lifetime, and I did make the comparison that I can truly understand why a lot of people would go after the, I don't want to say theology, but after the messaging and the viewpoint of Martin Luther King rather than Malcolm X. Why Martin Luther King has his own special day is lauded around the country even more than Malcolm X because of the way that his message was approached, you know what I mean? So yeah, I highly recommend you guys read that book. I think that I want to read it again, just so I can maybe get certain things I didn't get the first time and see what else I can learn from it. But I do think that it is an amazing book and one should try to read it once in their lifetime. It's really not that thick and it's accessible as well. You can find it almost anywhere. This next book that I have on my list, it's a little bit difficult, I can say, for a lot of people to read because of the way that things are phonetically spelled and the dialect that is used in the book. You're trying to like hone in on the Mississippi dialect during the 19th century. So basically we're following Huckleberry Finn, who is running away with a slave, Jim, and they're going down, you know, the Mississippi River, and they encounter a bunch of people in their adventure. Of course, I had to move for a second. My alarm went went off to go do something, but I am back. Anyway, I'm back. But yes, where was I? Huckleberry Finn. Yeah, so as I said, he and the slave are traveling to freedom. They meet a bunch of characters and it's quite an adventure. I really enjoyed it because like it's an important book, you guys. I do warn you that there is a lot of explicit wording in there. Basically the N-word is like stated in there like 219 times, I believe. And yeah, it's a tough book to kind of grapple with because it really just shows you the cruelty of slavery as well. So it's a powerful book, but I can understand how it's not for everybody because of the way that it's written. Mark Twain writes it in a fashion that is not really digestible to everyone, but I do say that it's an amazing book because the messaging is there and it's incredibly important. Ooh, this next book, White Bird. Let me get the exact full title. Okay, so the full title is just White Bird and it's by R.J. Palacio. Oh man, this is a comic book specifically about the Holocaust. You guys, it's so freaking good. Like highly recommend it. If you want an introduction a little bit to the Holocaust and like the human toll and the human emotion that people experienced while hiding from the Nazis and the Third Reich Germans, highly recommend you guys this one. This one's so,
Man, you don't know.
I couldn't believe how interesting like a comic book could be. There are illustrations and everything, of course, that goes into it. But yeah, I'm gonna read off to you guys the Goodreads summary so you can get a whole gist of it very cleanly. But in R.J. Palacio's collection of stories, Augie and Me, which expands on characters in Wonder, so this is just previous works from this particular author, readers were introduced to Julian's grandmother, Gamel. It's just so sad just thinking of it because I did, of course, again, a combination of audiobook and, you know, going through the comic book. You guys, those audiobooks were so good. They had like sound effects of gunshots and, you know, birds' wings fluttering and just all of the things that you can imagine, footsteps and door creaking and rustling of hay. So any kind of like sound effect and anything that pertained to the scene was included inside of each page pretty much in the audiobook.
When the Nazis came, all I could do was wait and pray for the war to end. And then I met Julien. It always takes courage to be kind, but in those days, kindness could cost you everything.
It was so freaking good. And just hearing grammaire, the way they said it, it was like a French grandma, just kind of brought me back to it. It's just so heartbreaking, you know, all these stories of World War II. But we were introduced to Julian's grandmother, Grammaire, told in graphic novel form. I guess that is a graphic novel. I said comic book, didn't I? White Bird is Gamel's story as a young Jewish girl hidden away by a family in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. So Julian, the grandson, gets on the phone with his grandmother because he has a school assignment and he wants to find out a little bit more about the grandma's experience during her time in Nazi Germany, so the Second World War, World War II. And she recounts how Nazis basically came to her school one day looking for Jews and, you know, the type of like crazy things that they did, of course. And this kid who has polio, who she used to make fun of, helped her escape. And he takes her to his family's barn and tells his parents about what's going on, and they come and they hang out with her in this like upper tier of the barn and play cards with her. They spend birthdays with her. Certain things are a luxury, like chocolate, for example, so they would bake her a chocolate cake, just spend a little time with her and make sure that she's just hidden away inside this barn so that way nobody can find her. And of course, most of the time they come in at night because they don't want people's attention to be drawn to the barn, so they come in at night so that way they can avoid their neighbors' eyes. I think it was extremely well done. I think I cried. I mean, how could you not? It was so good, especially with an audiobook that well done. I definitely, you know, was emotional about the story, and I think you guys really should take a look. And again, I'm gonna like plug Libby, even though they're not sponsoring me, of course, but Libby is such a good app, you guys, for free books and audiobooks and magazines and other little things, ebooks. I think it's on Libby, if you might have it in your library, because actually sometimes a book may not be at a particular library. But yeah, check it out and see what you think of it and let me know if you've actually read it. It was just so good, you guys. They attempted to link what was happening during the Holocaust with like modern day protests and things like that, and I was like, you lost me there.
You're doing too much, my brother.
So I think that was one downfall of the book. If you guys ever get a chance to read the graphic novel, let me know what you think. There's no comparison. It's not comparable, really. Trying to link certain crises that are today. I think they like try to spin like an immigration thing with the Holocaust. Like I get certain links of it, but it was too much of a leap, like too far of a stretch, I guess. And I am totally for trying to make those kind of like rational comparisons, because it's, you know, interesting how history repeats itself. But I think that the way that Palacio did it, it was just not good. I was like, I don't like this. Yeah, it kind of removed you from the story of the 1940s to now, and I was like, oh right, we are in modern day times when the story is being told, and it just didn't click. And mind you, you know, I have that background of not being from this country, and you know, if anybody would know, it's me. I promise you, it's me. So yeah, I just felt like for me it just didn't click is all. But maybe it might for you guys. Let me know what you guys think of it, because it is such a quick read. A lot of these are pretty fast, so yeah, just let me know what you guys think about it. But I can't recommend it enough. It's so good. It was so good. Like, well done. And the next book that I have, I hear that this is a quartet, if I'm not mistaken. The Giver Quartet by Lois Lowry. Yeah, it's so bad. I have like this janky version, like, oh my god, you guys, what is this? You see? Yeah, so The Giver by Lois Lowry, oh my gosh. This, I said it last time, I just wish this was a little bit longer. I can't wait to watch the movie as well. I want to see all the movies that they have of it, and I want to finish The Giver, the set. I think I might get a new copy, maybe. I don't know. Is it really all that necessary to get a new copy because of this? Y'all let me know. But The Giver by Lois Lowry. Such a good dystopian sci-fi book, in my opinion. We're following this kid named Jonas, and he lives in the community. The community is void of color, it's void of happiness almost, where everybody is living in these different sections and sectors. It just gives me the Divergent vibes. I've said this before. Maybe I'll cue in the clip that I kind of explained it a little bit in another video that I did earlier in 2021. So this gives me 1984 feels. This gives me The Handmaid's Tale feels. Pleasantville, The Truman Show.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
It gives me all of these kind of dystopian societies and communities and sectors of different stories that have been, you know, told in the past. But yeah, it just gives you that dystopian feeling of authoritarianism. I was like authoritarian, like vegetarian, like what?
Come again?
Yeah, it gives you the 1984 government overreach and just like the issues of ethics and morality, and oh, it's just so packed. Jonas lives in this community that must abide by certain rules or else they'll be released. And if they are released, we come to find out it is not that they are excommunicated and they become pariahs of the community. They exterminate these people if they don't follow the rules. Oh, it's so good. It is just so damn good. So when Jonas turned 12, he is basically singled out as a divergent, somebody who's very unique and special, and he goes to learn from this other unique and special character who lives a little bit removed from the community. He is called the Giver, and what the Giver, their responsibility is to take on like emotions and pains and memories of war and love and all of these things like that the community could not bear on their own shoulders. So I just think it's such a great concept. It was a second time read for me in 2022, and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend you guys read that one as well. I loved it. Ooh, okay, this next one, Leave the World Behind by Rumen Alam. Yeah, so it's Leave the World Behind by Rumen Alam, and I got that one actually from Emma from Emmy's channel, if you guys know her. I got that one from her for her 2021 best books. She talked about it so many different times. She did a reading vlog, and then she mentioned it in her best books of 2021, so I ended up just like going to find out what the heck this was about, and it is pretty dang good. I feel like it just has your throat and your heart squeezed until the very end, because it gives you this mysterious, disturbing, like paranoia, uneasy feeling throughout the entire book. Oh, it is so well done. on, and I think it addresses a lot of different concerns, you know what I mean? Like how we are truly just so attached to our phones and to media and technology. That's one of the things that the book definitely touches. It's such a 5-star read for sure. I think most people would find it quite enjoyable because of the way that the book was just paced. Like every single moment of the book, you just feel like no question is truly answered. It is quite disturbing and it's unnerving. Oh, so what is it about now? This family, they go out to vacation in Long Island at this Airbnb. Mother, father, son, and daughter. They go out and enjoy their little rural time in the outskirts of the major city, New York. Something happens where we're not quite sure if it's a terrorist attack, if it's a power outage, which just freaks me out so much. Of course it would to you. If it's apocalyptic, we have just no idea. If planes might have hit a building, if there has been an outbreak of a virus, we just don't quite know. But it is signaled that it's calamitous, the catastrophe, the amount of death that happens. In Alam's words, they let us know that people have been dying. So this family of 4, they're out here in their little Airbnb and their power is still working, but a lot of freaky things start to happen. For example, one of the sons just starts losing his teeth.
We mustn't panic. We mustn't panic.
Can you imagine that? He just starts losing his teeth. They hear a sonic boom from afar. The animals in the countryside, meaning like the birds and the deer, they start acting strange. And you know how animals do the thing where they like start flocking and herding to different parts of nature if something is going on. They're migrating. So things like that happen. And then lo and behold, the owners of the Airbnb, this African-American couple, elderly couple, and the 4 people who I was talking about earlier are white. White. This African-American couple, Ruth and I forgot the man's name, they come back and say, hey, look, we need to stay here because we don't know what the heck is going on. We're enjoying some kind of opera, ballet, symphony in the city, and then all hell broke loose. So we decided to come home because we think it's very safe. Look, I'm sorry that we're infringing on your vacation time, but you gotta let us in here, okay? We'll pay you, etc., etc. God, it's just absolutely just like topsy-turvy. I just think that it's such a great book, and I believe that Netflix is also making a movie on it. Leave the World. Yes, psychological thriller is a good word for it. So Mahershala Ali, okay, he's gonna be in there. He's so good. He's from a bunch of different movies, you guys. Mahershala Ali, I'm just like trying to show you guys, but that's not a good way to show it. He's been in so many things. Anyway, yeah, Mahershala Ali is gonna be in it, and he's so dang good in a lot of different places. We have Julia Roberts, who's also in it, Ethan Hawke.
I mean, that's a lot.
And Kevin Bacon. I was like, why is Kevin Bacon in another freaky thing? I saw him in a trailer with Amanda Seyfried, and it looked like just another like disturbing thriller type of psychopath role, and it, you know, one of those makes you feel uneasy. So they're gonna be adapting this story into a Netflix movie, I believe. So I'm so excited about that, and I can't wait to watch, and I hope it's not too crazy. But yeah, I can't tell you how much I really loved it. So yeah, Leave the World Behind by Rumen Alam. Very uneasy, disturbing piece of work that addresses a lot of different things, and I think you guys would totally enjoy it. If you have any works that are like it, let me know down below with a comment. I really would appreciate that because it was so good. It was just like, oh, disturbing. This is the main word I could think of. Next book is The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by the great prolific writer C.S. Lewis, who is a very lauded children's literature author. So basically, The Chronicles of Narnia follows this lion named Aslan. He is symbolizing a Jesus character pretty much. He gets humiliated and he dies on this would-be stone table and resurrects, and there's an earthquake, and there are a lot of Christian themes in the story. So there's this fictional beautiful world called Narnia that's like snow-capped. It's covered in snow. It's always cold because the White Witch, who's a demon, Jadis, has made it so. The sons of Adam, which would be Peter and and Edmund and the daughters of Eve, Susan and Lucy, all are engaged in this crazy adventure once they walk through this wardrobe in this professor's mansion that they are staying at during World War II, I think it's World War II. The first person who went through the wardrobe was little Lucy. She befriends this gorgeous, why did I say gorgeous? I mean, James McAvoy is handsome, but it's so funny the way I said gorgeous. Do I like the fawn? I always thought he was handsome. But yes, why did I say that? Gorgeous. Anyway, she has tea with this fawn who's perfectly reasonably, normal, and somehow, some way, the other siblings eventually end up in this wardrobe. They have to find a way to battle the queen and all of her psycho little minions, and it is just a very parallel story to like Christian narratives, I guess, because of course C.S. Lewis is Christian. So yeah, that one was such a fun read. I really enjoyed that, and it was again one of those books that I ended up reading during the very cold seasons when it was snowing. You can enjoy that with a very warm blanket, get all cozy, and have a warm drink with it. I am so happy after 20 plus years or whatever, I finally got a chance to read it. And if you don't want to read the book, it's totally fine. The movie is literally a carbon copy. The person did such a great job with the movie. It is nearly identical, and it is so dang good. But yeah, the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe specifically was so good in 2022. Just the kind of story that I needed to hear and read. So my very final book is Finding Chica by Mitch Albom. The full title of the book is Finding Chica, A Little Girl, An Earthquake, and the Making of a Family. So this particular book was just the most heartwarming memoir about love and loss. It's nonfiction, of course, I just said it's a memoir. We're following Chica, who is this Haitian girl who experienced just the worst kind of heartbreak during the 2010. Okay, so I just switched to a different camera. That's why things look a little bit weird or different. The other one, it's such good quality, I think, but I don't know, I gotta figure out the microphone situation because it was getting on my freaking nerves. I can't tell you, I almost like broke the damn lens. It's a very expensive lens, but seriously, like I just got so frustrated, and I'm like, I'm just trying to speak about good books and share some information with the internet. Why are you preventing me from doing it? So I just switched to the good old-fashioned iPhone, which already has the microphone synced up into it. It's not that great, but it is what it is, and I'm sorry for the switch up. But now let's get back into it. Chica, I feel so frustrated because I said so many good things. Yeah, so Chica is this little girl from Haiti who is basically orphaned at like 3 years old. She still has a father, but he does not take care of her, and her mother died while giving birth to her baby brother. So she eventually goes to this orphanage called Have a Little Faith Haiti, and it's ran by Mitch Albom. Of course, the children love her. She's like an energy ball, very fun and lovable and funny and whatnot. And we eventually find out that she has a really rare form of a brain tumor called DIPG. It stands for diffuse intrinsic pontine gliomas, and it's this inoperable stage 4 brain tumor that, of course, the people in Haiti would not be able to assist her with as far as treatment. Now, what happens is that Mitch takes Chica back home to the States, to Detroit, I think, to Michigan. And once he does that, his heart just opens up so much. It just becomes bigger and bigger, and he finds such comfort and love in this little girl. They bond very quickly, and the story is just so dang heartwarming and beautiful. I highly recommend you guys to take a look at it via audiobook, because the way that Mitch did it, he included little chunks of actual audio, their little interactions, whether it be a prayer at night at bedtime, or when he's reading her a book, or her singing in the car, or going to the hospital for a checkup or treatment or things like that. Yeah, just all these little like voicemail diaries that are just so heartwarming and heartfelt. I felt very attached to the story because, of course, it has that Haitian theme, and that is where I'm from. So a lot of it, like, I could really relate to and understand the context of it all. So it was just really absolutely heartwarming and heart-touching. So unfortunately, this is something that I can speak on. Mitch has a wife that he loves so very much, Janine, and one of the issues is that they found that after all of these years, Mitch has put his career first. Because of all of this focus on his career, he and his wife cannot get pregnant because her time has passed. Men are able to have children a little bit later in life, unlike women. It's just the way it works. And yeah, it's a very heartbreaking thing because you see these folks who are in like past their 40s and you know they would love to have a child of their own, and that is something that can't happen. So they become Chica's adoptive guardian, and I can't tell you what kind of warmth this book gave me. It just feels like a fort, an adventure in a fort on a cozy carpet as it's 60 degrees outside and you're filled with love by people surrounding you. I don't know if that makes any type of sense, but that's the feeling that it gave me. These stories by Mitch Albom are usually just so exquisitely written. They're very like calm and pensive, and they're slow paced, yet they have like a very strong emotional factor to them. I can't even tell you. It's amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. And I really, really hope that you guys pick up that one. That probably was my absolute favorite of the year. Lots of sad books for the year, huh? We had Roots and Huck Finn and SOS Titanic and of course Whitebird. So yeah, Finding Chica is one of those top ones. So maybe you guys can recommend me some happy books to kind of start off the year very positively, because I don't know what I'm gonna read. But yeah, I can tell you that the more time that Chica spends with her new parents, the harder, of course, it'll be, because the outcome is just, you know, absolutely devastating. It kills you. So here's, of course, a huge spoiler. Because of this really aggressive disease, Chica ends up passing at age 7, and oh man, I cried. I sure did. It was just terrible because, of course, this is a real person and it's a child above all else, you know? So it was just so hard to read, and I think everybody should give it a go because it kind of like has this human feeling. Like it has such a human touch to it that I think like once you read it, everybody just kind of calms down a little bit. They kind of relax a little bit. They might be able to understand how other people feel. So I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I had said so much more, but the wonderful microphone took it all away from me. I do want to read to you guys a little bit of the synopsis from Goodreads, just so that way you guys have it in such a cohesive and concise way, and maybe if I read it, I might be able to come up with some more commentary on it. So it says here that Chica was born 3 days before the devastating earthquake that decimated Haiti in 2010. She spent her infancy in a landscape of extreme poverty, and when her mother died giving birth to a baby brother, she was brought to the Have Faith Haiti orphanage that Albom operates in Port-au-Prince. So with no children of their own, the 40+ children who live, play, and go to school at the orphanage have become family to Mitch and his wife Janine. So Chica's arrival makes a quick impression. Brave and self-assured, which she was. Even as a 3-year-old, she delights the other kids and teachers, but at age 5, she's suddenly diagnosed with something that the doctors say no one in Haiti can help you with. So Mitch and Janine bring Chica to Detroit, hopeful that American medical care can soon return her back to, you know, her homeland. But instead, she becomes a permanent part of their household and their lives, and as they embark on a 2-year around the world journey to find a cure. She's absolutely optimistic and humorous, and she teaches Mitch the joys of caring for a child. And yeah, the relationship just grows on love and love and love. Yeah, it was just so heartbreaking because physically she started out one way, and then once the tumor set in, like her appearance morphed and changed, like with weight gain, and just her mental and emotional affect, in a sense, changed as well. A little bit more irritable and moody and sad, and her temperament was just a little bit different, a lot different. As you can imagine, if you have this crazy, like aggressive tumor, you know? It was just so good. The way that he allowed himself to open up in that way, I just thought that every single word on Mitch Albom's book just really would touch anyone's heart, honestly. But yeah, I have to say that that was one of the top books that I read for 2022, and I really do hope that you guys get a chance to read it as well. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you can leave me some of your recommendations for 2022 that you read, and I will highly consider it. I'll open up Libby right away and take down a few notes as to what you guys enjoyed for last year. And I hope that this year will be extremely fruitful as well, and that we can have a very great discussion in 2024, God willing, about all of the amazing literature and poetry and all the works that we may have read this year in 2023. Thank you so much again for watching. You guys have an awesome rest of your week.
I know